Hi, everyone. Welcome to the special episode of the Class C Podcast. This is our Everyday Entrepreneur segment. The Class C Podcast is made possible through a partnership between the Hill Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship and the Communication Studies Department at Furman University. I am your host, Mary Sturgill. Our guest today is Dionne Sandiford, who was in the GVL Starts very first cohort with me. Welcome to the show, Dionne.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Well, one, I'm having all the GVL Starts people on, but I wanted to have you on specifically because I just think you are such a go-getter. And this woman is the network queen. I want to tell you, I've been at so many events with her where I'm
just hungry.
That's it. Oh, you're hungry. All right. Speaking of hungry, what are you hungry about? Tell us about your business.
Where do I start? I have a sewing and embroidery business. Mm-hmm. And I started with doing home deck. Mm-hmm. And then from home deck, I realized going into people's homes and deciding to do their curtains and fabric, there's got to be a better meaning to life. Mm-hmm. Not that I didn't like you guys as my customers. I just wanted a little bit more.
Right.
And so I looked around and I just had to grow it from there. I decided I went into quilting. And then from quilting, I said, that's good. I need something else. And so I went into embroidering, mm-hmm. and then just things kind of blossomed from there.
So now you have a product called, let me make sure, Cozy Cover. I think this is the product that's going to kind of revolutionize daycare for moms, right?
Heard that.
And then you all heard it here first. But there's also a great community component to this. So let's begin the conversation on Cozy Cover just by telling what it is first.
Cozy Cover is a cover that will cover your mat. Mm-hmm. So the kids that are in daycare, as you know, many of them, they sleep on the mat for nap time. Mm-hmm. And with COVID now, or even before COVID, parents would have to supply a blanket or a towel or a pillowcase or something to cover the mat. Mm-hmm. How I got into it is I attended a church, Holy Cross, and they have a daycare. Mm-hmm. But the mats that they had, they were tearing. And with DHEC regulations, you can't have a mat with a tear in it because the foam inside is a breeding house for bacteria. Ah. So when they found out that I sew, mm-hmm. Oh, Dionne, can you sew our mats? And I'm like, how do you say no?
Right.
Of course. I mean, I love doing it. While covering and fixing the mats and sewing them, and I was like, there's got to be a better way. So I said, well, what if I come up with a cover that would cover the mats mm-hmm. and keep the integrity of the mats longer, mm-hmm. so less wear and tear?
Right.
Then I started hearing the towels slide off. I can't find a sheet that fits. Everything slides off.
Gets lost.
Yeah, my kid doesn't come home with their own cover. They coming home with Samantha's cover or Hawan's cover or somebody. So what do we do? So I'm sitting there, I'm listening to all of this, and so I came up with a cover that is self-contained, and it was based on the concept called a quillo. A quillo mm-hmm. is a quilting technique mm-hmm. where when you fold it up, it's a pillow, and when you open it, it's a full blanket.
Okay.
So with using that as my base, I now have a cover that slides, the mat slides in. Mm-hmm. It comes with a built-in blanket and a pillow if you like. Mm-hmm. And then when you finish, you slide the mat out, you fold it up, it comes with a handle, and so the baby doesn't bring it home, but the daycare workers can give it home to mommy or daddy to wash, and then this way there's nothing to be lost. And since I have an embroidery company, of course I have to say
you can monogram
it, because we all know everything in the Southeast, got to have a monogram on it.
And that will help, little Johnny not bring home little Sarah's stuff.
Exactly.
Right. So lots of things have happened to you since the cohort, since GVL Starts. During the process, I remember you showed us several different kind of iterations and kind of working through exactly what the product would be. But now you pretty much have that. But you've also, basically you've launched, have you not?
I am launching officially April 2nd, Saturday. Yeah. April Saturday is the launch day. Yeah. Prior to that, when you said I had several iterations of it, there's really two main ones. There's mm-hmm. one for the daycares,
right,
and then there's one, and when I say daycares, I mean daycares and then also shelters and kids in foster care.
Right. For children.
For children,
Yeah.
just children across the board. Because if I can step back, for the kids in foster care, a lot of times when they are pulled from their home, it's an emergency.
Right. And so they have nothing.
They have nothing, sometimes just the clothes on their back.
Yeah.
And they have no sense of something that belongs to them, something that's theirs that they can hold on to. So with my cozy cover, no matter where they go, even if they're sleeping on a bed that's provided for them, they can use that to have underneath them, and it's theirs to carry. And that one has a cute little teddy bear on it with a nice little saying that makes it feel like that's their own. And that's just important to me, that the kids feel like there's nothing like having your very own.
Right.
And it just gives you a sense of security.
And at that time, they have nothing that
And
is
they
their
have
own.
absolutely
They're
nothing.
going into a house that's not their own.
Right.
Everything. Yeah.
Nothing belongs to them.
That's super important. You, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you receive a gift to help you give some of those to people?
Wow, that talk about a wow moment.
Yeah.
Well, from the GVL Starts, from the group of 25, 6 were asked to pitch. So we had big old demo day.
Right.
And then at demo day, the 6 of us, 3 were winners. You had 2 judge winners and 1 crowd favorite winner.
Crowd favorite, yeah.
And I was one of the judge winners, or judges winner.
Yeah, the judges chose you because they love
There you
this
go.
product. Yeah.
And so I shared that with a group that I'm in of female entrepreneurs, and the lady, Rachel Luna, she is the head of the group. It's called Faith Activated. And she said, would you be open and interested to coming to Atlanta to share your story at my conference, Confidence Activated? And of course, I immediately was like,
Of course.
well, that's not what I said, but okay. but we're going to go with that.
Right, we'll go with what I
We're going
said.
to go with that. And so I went, and what I didn't know was that while I was on a stage speaking, and there's a lot to be said for telling your story. And although I fight it all the time, when I got on the stage, I said, look, I'm in a room with people that I felt safe with, so I just told it.
And there were all other female entrepreneurs.
Female entrepreneurs, well, not necessarily entrepreneurs, but females that just wanted the next level up for them. However,
gotcha.
they defined that next level.
Kind of like an empowerment
Yes.
thing. Okay.
Many of us are
Right.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And so when I was in the room, Jamie Kerr Lima was in the room also. Jamie Kerr Lima is a woman who started a IT cosmetic line in her living room with her husband
Right.
and another friend. And fast forward, she sold her company to L'Oreal for $1.2 billion.
Wow.
So she heard me on stage, and then she got up and said, I am going to place an order for $10,000 worth of covers for Dionne to disseminate to shelters and to daycares of her choosing. And so I'm still pinching myself for that wow moment.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. That's an amazing thing. And so you never know who is in the audience or who's going to hear your story
You never know.
and connect with your story.
Right.
So I think that's a really good takeaway for our listeners, is the story is important.
The story is very important because, like I said, people would say, do you have to tell your story? And part of my story, I still am not ready to tell, so I keep that close to the vest. The other part of the story is when I worked in corporate America, I was met with an unfortunate incident that was racial in nature. And I was driving home, and I called God G. And I said, G, this is not what you meant for me.
Yeah.
There has to be something more. And so I said, okay, I come to the table with my mustard seed, which you told me I was supposed to have, and said, in addition to that, I have some skills, some sewing skills, so make it happen, Captain. And so that's how really this whole thing got started, because the home deck stuff I did on the side while I was working. And when I got into a position where I was met with that unfortunate incident, I just said, this is just not the right fit for me. So God, you have to have something else. This cannot be my dash. Now, when you're born, you have your number, and then you have your day where you're no longer here.
Right.
And so that line in the middle is your dash, and my dash could not end like that. I had to believe that there was something more to my dash than that.
Yeah.
And so this is my continuation of my dash.
We've had a conversation about this, that it's not necessary. Yes, you want to make money as an entrepreneur, but it's more than that for you.
Yes. And I heard this other people say it. If you're doing this just for the money, it's not going to work. Right. You're going to get to a certain level of success. Yes, you will. So I'm not trying to play down the money at all because I need to eat. Right. I need to live. Exactly. And I need to pay a mortgage. If it's only about the money, you're only going to get to a certain point. If you do your purpose, if you are obedient, and a lot of my stuff is laced with talking about God and religion and faith and all that. I don't know how to do anything else. Right. So when people ask me to tell a story, I can tell it and make it PC. When they ask me to tell my story, this is my story. Right. And I was fighting tooth and nail. I was like, no, I don't want to tell my story. And you have to be obedient, though.
We had this conversation at GVL Starts about you telling your story, and I said, you need to tell your story.
Yes, yeah. and I still, as you can see, I'm still struggling with telling my story. I will say...
You're getting better, though.
Thank you so much for saying that. And the more you tell it, the more you do get comfortable. And something that someone said the other day, and I can't remember, it was last night when we were at Flywheel, is when you tell your story, more people will show up.
Absolutely.
More people will show up and they will connect with you. Yeah. So even though I'm still afraid to tell my story, I want people out there to know, please find comfort and strength to tell your story, because you never know who's watching you, who's in a position to bless you like I was blessed.
So what is your plan? I want people to make sure that they can get your product because, like I said, it's daycares and moms with kids in daycare are just going to love this. Where will they be able to get the product?
We are now in the process of developing a website. Mm-hmm. So by April 2nd, it will be up and running. Mm-hmm. Right? Got it. Here's my faith thing again. Yeah. And so until then, if you want to get in contact with me, it's Dionne@corporatestitch.com, or you can go to corporatestitch.com. Yeah. And you can communicate with me that way. So I'm hoping to get the e-commerce running up now. So, I mean, I have a website now. Right. And that one is dealing with my t-shirt quilts and memory quilts, because when I grew into doing quilts, I still have a website for that. Mm-hmm. So you can find me until my covers come to hit the market.
And you just might see something else you want too while they're finding you.
There you go.
Dionne, before I let you go, I want you to give one piece of advice that maybe you learned from the GVL Starts program or that you've learned along the way for other entrepreneurs.
Okay, two, since you said GVL Starts.
Sure.
What I learned from GVL Starts is community. There is nothing like having community. And it's not just community, it's community of like-minded people. I know you had Zachary and Chandler prior to me speaking with you here today, and the energy that they brought to the class every week that we met, and to be in the room with people who want to see other people succeed, you can't match that energy. Right. Because we fed off of each other. Absolutely. So that's what I got from the GVL Starts. Yeah. Personally, just don't give up. Yeah. It's hard. It is never going to be easy. I would love to tell you entrepreneurship is glamorous. It's so not. So not. It's a lot of hard work. You just cannot give up. So whatever you believe in, whoever you believe in, you just need to hold on to something greater than you, because, again, you never know who's watching you, who's in a position to bless you. And you can't give up.
You're still in the dash, so get going.
And I'm still in my dash.
Dionne, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, that does it for this special episode of the Class E podcast. This is our Everyday Entrepreneur segment. Remember, this podcast is brought to you through a partnership between the Hill Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship and the Communication Studies Department here at Furman University. And just so you know, just in case you want to get involved with this thing that we're calling GVL Starts that Dionne just talked about, the Hill Institute is currently in another packed cohort of 25 aspiring entrepreneurs for that program. Again, it's an 8-week experience put on in a partnership with the City of Greenville, South Carolina Department of Commerce, SCRA, and it delivers training and connections and access to capital for startups of all types who are launching or growing their ventures. In the cohorts, we have everybody from complete startups to people who just need to go take their business to the next level. So if you or friend or someone you know is interested in something like that, simply Google GVL Starts to find out about that. Plus, if you haven't checked out our new YouTube channel, you can enjoy episodes of the Class E podcast, episodes of Everyday Entrepreneur right there on our YouTube channel. Just go into YouTube and type in Class E podcast for that. And of course, you can catch the Class E podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. And I am your host, Mary Sturgill. This podcast is produced by students Emma Kerr and Eliza Polich. Until next time, everybody, dream big.